Hey, folks. Welcome to Hoboken Talks. My name is Bob Foster. I'm the director here at the Hoboken Historical Museum. And you're probably watching us on either Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. This is not live. It's been pre-recorded due to some scheduling issues, but we're really happy to bring you a great program today. We've done many programs. I think we're up to close to 30, and we're very proud of this series, Hoboken Talks. And we're here today with one of my favorite people. To my left is Cassia Fidelis.
Hi.
Welcome, Cassia.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Robert.
And we're on the screen now. Our backdrop is actually one of the recent Storytimes. And just last week, sort of a return to the good old days.
Yeah.
And I should say that we're starting to deal now with the Delta variants. So we're back with a plexi screen in between us. We talked about how we didn't want to mask up because of obvious problems interpreting our speech. So we do have this hunk of plexi between us. And we scheduled this because we know you're moving out of the area soon. So we wanted to, have this conversation. And very sad, yes. And I usually refer to you as a nanny, the nanny of Hoboken. I'm going to give you a little title. But you could also be, sometimes people might be referred to as working in childcare. And I guess I'd start by just asking, what do you call your profession and your title?
I call myself a nanny. I think it's warm. I think nanny really embodies being part of the family, being part of the community. So I just call myself a nanny. And a babysitter will be just caring for children. Or many children. You don't do anything with them. You don't help them with homework or anything like that. So I do all of that. So nanny. Yeah.
So, Hoboken has had an explosion of young families, which is great for the town. It brings vibrancy. It is the future.
Absolutely.
I always joke that people ask, what does Hoboken make now? It used to be known for manufacturing. And I usually say the main business is babies and condos.
True.
And I'm sort of kidding, but if you think of, shall we say, the nanny profession and all the services that are needed for child care and schooling, it is an industry.
Yes, absolutely. I started back in, I've been here for 25 years, so go ahead and count back 25 years. But I started when Hoboken was just a few of us, and was more the mothers, going to school, picking them up, but, stay-home moms. And now I think, and when it changed to the yuppie town, as we used to call it, people,
and no one uses the word yuppie
No one
anymore.
uses the word yuppie anymore. It's like that's a clue of how old I am. We're not going to talk about that.
Okay. But what is a nanny's day like? Like you have to get to Hoboken. I'm assuming you weren't living in Hoboken.
No. I am originally I'm from Brazil. I'm Brazilian. But I live in Jersey City. I live in the heights of Jersey City. So it's very easy to get down to Hoboken. So my main mode of transportation was my two legs. I love to walk. I never had the time to exercise. So I thought, why not exercise before work? And that's the way I came to Hoboken all those years. But I feel that from my experience as a nanny, I can't talk about everyone, but my experience has been really advocating for the children that I worked for, making sure they were well, making sure they were fed, making sure they had their playtime, make sure they have their homework time, making sure that they know their ABCs, 1, 2, 3, songs, art, and play date. I'm a very big play dater, so I love people. I love meeting people. I love meeting new families. So that was the thing that kind of like attracted me to other families, because I wasn't one to just stay in the house and do indoor things. I was the outdoorsy person. So that helped me a lot. But I think that nanny is just not about children. Nanny is also about helping the parents be the best parents they can be. Um, I've been a nanny for 25 years, so obviously I have more experience than the actual parents, right? And that goes for a lot of nannies. A lot of nannies have been in Hoboken 30, 40, years. I can't believe people are here for 40 years, but 40 years, it's a rewarding type of work to see a child grow, to know that you were part of their lives, that you taught them how to be, how to treat other people. That's very rewarding.
Right. I can just say that some of the most interesting, special, and joyful people I've met are nannies.
Yes.
And of course, the combination of the nanny with the child
Yes.
is pretty cool.
Yes.
And so we have really embraced that community. And I'm not sure if we did that in the beginning, but it seems like once we did, things were definitely more joyful around here. And sometimes myself, I have to be careful not to spend too much time hanging out with the nannies and the toys.
There's always a place for you to become a nanny. Manny. It's a Manny.
Manny. That's
Manny.
right.
There was
that's
a Manny. I knew a Manny in Hoboken.
I know of one. I don't think I'll,
yes,
transfer my energies into that profession. It's and I never had kids. Holly and I never had kids, so it's been fun to watch the kids.
Yeah,
it's been good that way. I'm like a grandfather, a distant grandfather. But tell me about some of the backgrounds of the nannies in terms of what country they came from. You said you were from Brazil, and there are a lot of nannies who are, shall we say, immigrated here.
Yes, a lot of the nannies that work, especially in Hoboken, are Filipinas, Caribbean, from different islands in the Caribbean. There are a few Brazilians, but most of the Brazilians that I know, they had started as a au pair, meaning that the family had brought them here through a program to go to school, and in return they will work for the family, paid the school, and they just decided, I'm going to become nanny because the love for the children. It's a very you get attached. You with a child all day. You are 20. It's like not 24/7, but you are with them 9 hours a day, sometimes 11 hours, 12 hours, depending how long you work. And these two, you help them through everything. You feed them, you bathe them. They become your children. I don't want to say illegitimate children, but yeah, they are not your children, but they become your children, which can be a little tough for the parent to swallow, to have somebody else, the children calling somebody else mommy. Um, but it's like you can't, as much as we can tell or teach children to say, I'm not your mother, it's not that they don't know who their parents are or their mother, but because you are there for them. Children relate parent or mother to the person who is caring for them. And because we care for them, they say, they call us mothers, which is really difficult because it's like, how do you explain that to a parent, right? I mean, how do you?
Yeah, what do? You say mommy's coming at 5, or
I do a lot of, in my experience, I used a lot of photos. Look, mommy and daddy. Oh, look, grandma, grandpa. Oh, look, let's make something for mommy. Let's make something for daddy. Or even, FaceTime the parents in the middle of the day. Technology right now, it's such a great tool to kind of like communicate without the person being there, right? They can be in the child's life without being there physically, which I used it a lot with pictures and FaceTiming, things like that, which helped. Children still called me mommy, but at least the parents were okay because I sort of like involved them in a day-to-day routine.
Sure.
I brought them in.
And I do see that a lot of the nannies are documenting what
Yes.
the kid
Yeah.
is doing, just sort of showing them, like
Yes.
it puts the parent at rest
Yes.
too. Like, oh, they're at
Yes.
story time at the
Yes.
museum, or
Yes.
they're playing with
Yes.
toys and things
Yeah.
like that.
Which it help. I think it does help a lot because being a nanny is about yes, you care for the child and you advocating for the child, but you have to understanding that it's very difficult for a parent to leave their children with a complete stranger, and go to work and not think of what might have, did I make a good decision? Is this person going to hurt my child? Is this person going to be, taking care of my child properly? And things like that. So, really, you do have, so being a nanny is not just caring for the child, but is also caring for the parent, making sure that the parent is okay with you being with their children.
It's a lot to negotiate.
It's a lot to negotiate. So, although it looks, people think it's an easy job, you're just caring for somebody's child. No, it's very difficult. It's very difficult, and it can be a sticky job at times because you are not just dealing with a child, you're dealing with the parents, grandparents, you're dealing with their lives, and how their lives are portrayed. If they want to do this, you have to sort of like switch your mind to doing what they want you to do. So, and still keep the way you do things. It can be very.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned the au pair, a
Yes.
French term for a live-in
Yes.
caretaker, shall
Absolutely.
we say.
Yes.
I don't see that as much. I mean,
Yeah.
years ago, I think it was
Right.
more common.
Right.
Maybe not as much anymore.
Right.
Is that your perception? Or?
Well, in Hoboken, I don't know. I'm not working in Hoboken anymore. I'm working in Westfield right now, but I did work in Hoboken for 24 years. And now I've been in Westfield. Westfield, there are a lot of au pairs. And the reason I think that a lot of people have, it's hard switching from one person, then switching to another person when that person ends their contract. What you do with a child is seriously a difficult thing. It's like you putting them in this, okay, I love this person, and now you're taking that person away. Oh, I gave my all to this person, and now you're taking away. So it can become a psychological, problem for the child, well, for the parents, because the child will react towards that, switching from person to person,
Well, maybe like Hoboken, many of the places are smaller.
Right.
So just physically having that person living
Yes.
in the house
Absolutely.
with a dog
Yeah.
and 2 kids,
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
be kind of hard.
Well, one of the au pairs that I knew, she's no longer in Hoboken. She was working with a family, and her room was in the basement. but the family had to go through her room in order to get to a toolbox. And I mean, they could come at any time. She could be laying there. Nobody, anybody would just come in the room and just go through, and so it's not. So it was not, like you said, the space here is not really meant for no pair, because most of the houses don't have an extra room to put anybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
And one thing I see is kind of interesting, since there's so many different backgrounds of the nannies.
Yes.
Many times the kids are older kids, not
Yes.
pre-K, but
Yeah.
5, 6, 7. The kids are learning another language.
Yes, a lot of nannies, will rather speak their own language, so that the child can learn a new language, which I think is amazing. I think it's great, and it really does benefit the child, and it benefits them, because they will grow up with that. Hopefully, they will continue,
Sure.
they continue that study. But I think that, and I talked to a lot of nannies about that, because that is another work on top of the work that we already do. Right? Because for some people there are nannies who don't speak English, who do not understand English. So they work for people who speak their language. But what it does is that nanny is not learning anything.
Mm.
Yes, she's giving, she's teaching, but she's not getting anything in return.
Right.
So I feel like that to me is like, it's a little unfair, because that person is really not getting paid extra for that.
Right. And so that gets into, like, the person who's hiring you would have to be upfront, but is it sort of implied you should help do light cleaning, and you should do cooking, and
um I see this. Nannying has become something just like any job. Before, I feel like it was up for debate. People could tell, this is what I want and this is what you have to do. But now it's sort of like, this is what I do. This is what I charge for what I do. This is what I'm good at. This is my expertise. So it's kind of like a job when you go to an interview and you say, well, this is my resume. This
Right.
is what I do. So I feel like for the nanny and for the employer, there needs to be an understanding. This is what is going to be done.
Sure.
That's a
So
and
in your case, you almost specialize with
Yeah.
your connection with the child,
Yes.
and you don't want to,
Yeah.
shall we say,
Yeah.
do the vacuuming or
Well,
something.
I do. I mean, I see it this way. There was a family that I was working for, who had. Oh, I had so many troubles with this family. I will tell you all about it in a few. This
No
family,
names.
no names. This family had not a rock roller, a pippo,
A what dog?
a pippo,
I don't know the dog, but
a pit bull.
oh,
one
a
of those.
pit bull. I'm
A
so
pit
sorry, I
bull.
misheard. Yeah.
Very gentle. I mean, she was so afraid of everything: parked cars, bushes. I mean, very afraid of everything. And when I started working for this family, the dog was afraid of me. So, I didn't want the dog to do its business in the house. I wanted to go walk, because whether it's my job or not to clean the dog's business, if it's going to take away from my children being able to play, eat, or do whatever else, I need to clean it. Okay, it might not be my job, but the kid is my job, right? So it's my job to to clean wherever that kid goes. So this Peppo, I wanted to take her outside. Eventually, I did take her outside, and we were walking on Washington Street, and she was so afraid of all the people walking there. She ran away. She kind of like wiggled out her harness and she ran away. I had a sick 4 months old in a stroller and a dog that took off. And then there was all these people trying to help me. And I'm like, where did the dog go? And somebody says, she went that way. Here I am running with a 4-month baby in a stroller trying to find the dog. I finally found her. Actually, she smelled a house that she usually went to, which was part of the family, and she was standing there on a front door, and I'm telling you, I had a mini heart attack that day. But I only said that story to say, whatever it is, or even if it isn't my job, I'm there for the child. Doesn't matter what it is.
Sure.
So yeah.
So that was a case of no good deed goes unpunished.
Oh my gosh.
And I guess the dog walker is.
Well, she finally, warmed up to me. Never ran away before, but I told the parents, "You're gonna have to buy me another harness. I can't."
Okay. Or a dog walker.
They did. Yeah, they had a dog walker.
Sure.
Yeah, the dog walker came.
But you rose to the occasion there. It's funny. We were just having a good conversation. Yeah. We do have some pictures.
Yes, absolutely.
And maybe we should look at them. And I think they start for some early years, they connect with your early years here in Jersey City.
And I can talk to you about.
Go to
that's me. I was about 3 in Brazil. My mother didn't know how to comb my hair, so I have left-sided buns.
We didn't notice that. We just saw the eyes.
Okay. If you don't, don't worry about that. The hair then.
So that's not like a passport photo, is it? Do you think?
I don't know. It's not. It's not a passport.
Okay.
But everything back then looked like a passport.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
But, I see the eyes.
Aww. Yeah, it doesn't change. That's me, my neighborhood in Brazil. I'm the one in the middle with the purple shorts. I was about 10 there, and those are all of my neighbors and the ones in the end with the black shirt and white shirt were my cousins, and we lived in the same house. It was fun.
So you had already immigrated here and you were visiting?
That was Brazil. That was before I came.
So how old are you when you come around?
I came when I was 14, going on 15.
Wow.
Yes.
And so you remember a lot about Brazil.
I remember a lot, but I did forget a lot. I think that there was a time in my life in Brazil. As you can see, our streets weren't paved. We didn't have the best living situation. We were happy. I can't say I wasn't happy. I was happy because I had the people.
The people, and you don't know what is possible.
The people around me, the neighborhood, my friends, my neighbors, the ones who know who I am and didn't care how I was dressed or anything like that. So it was a happy time. But there was some hardships, with water, running water and food, shoes. As you can see, some of us have no shoes on. I didn't have anything on. So I don't know what happened, but I guess I developed a depression out of that, because when I came here, I lost all of them.
All your friends.
All my friends.
Right.
Everything I knew, everything that I cared for, everything that was my life was all left back.
Sure.
So when I came here, I developed this depression that caused me to forget a lot of the things. And this is one of the pictures that I keep in order to remember.
Everyone looks very joyful.
We were
Yeah.
happy. We didn't have anything, but we were happy. We didn't care.
And you had enough for a baseball team. I
Yeah,
think there's 10 people there.
absolutely. We did dodgeball. I hated that game.
Dodgeball.
Oh
That
gosh.
hurts.
Yeah,
Could
and
be mean.
the ball we played with was deflatable, deflated. So, oh my gosh, and they just threw it like they
Yeah.
really wanted to hurt you. So yeah, I stayed away from
That's
the
funny.
dodgeball game.
So I always like when I meet someone who was raised in a different culture, different
Yes.
country, and then, shall we say, moved to a Jersey City.
Yes.
Do you remember the sounds or the smell from
Oh
your
gosh,
town versus when you came? Like, what are the new sounds?
well, there is a smell that I never forgot, and I smelled it again when I was here. I mean, later into my life. Um, the smell of magnolia, and I
Huh?
hated the smell.
You hated
I
it.
hated the smell. Well, I think I was a little younger than that. My aunt, my mother came here first. So we were left with my aunt and my father to care for us, and stuff. So my aunt at that time, she took us, my sister and I, to get our hair braided. And the place she took us was um, a they were practicing voodoo, black magic, and the lady was braiding my hair.
Is
So
that here in?
no, that
No,
was in Brazil.
in Brazil.
In
Sorry.
Brazil is
Yeah.
where I smelled
Sure.
first. I smelled it first. So when the lady started doing her rituals and pouring beer and they call it cachaça is a Brazilian whiskey. It's very strong. I never drink it. I would never drink it. Um, she was pouring all over the house. That was one of the rituals. While she was doing that, I ran for the door and with half a hair braided. I said, I don't care. I'm gonna leave. So my sister and I, we just ran for the border, and we never seen the lady again. The smell of the flower, of that stayed with me my whole life. Then I didn't smell it anymore. But when I came here, and I think I was about my early 20s, I smelled it again. And the feeling of being in the lady's house, braiding my hair, doing all of her rituals came back.
Did you run for the door?
I didn't because she wasn't there.
That is a true sound memory, and that's like,
Yeah, because
I mean, a smell memory, and the
it's
best one I've
because
ever
it's
heard.
all involved in fear,
Mhm.
right? It wasn't a pleasant thing. It was a fearful thing. I was running for my life. I felt so when I smelled that smell again, I felt like, oh my gosh, I had to run for my life. So
Wow.
it came back. Yeah, the memory
Sure.
came all back.
And do you have anything with sounds that are more pleasant, shall we say? From
With sounds that I'm really. We were in a family of sounds a lot. We cooked a lot in the house, so everything is surrounded with smells.
Okay.
Bad smells, good smells, delicious smells. But it's all smells. Sounds wasn't a thing. The sounds of the kids that I used to play with, screams or sounds of bullets flying. There was at that time there were a lot. This is called where the picture is taken in a favela. That's favela. Favela is where they make like not huts, but the houses are very close together, and multiple families live in that little house. So that's called the favela. And I was living in a favela, and in the favela is usually uh, overtaken by drug dealers, drug lords, and things. So we did have a drug lord that, quote unquote, said he owned the favela, and every now and then there were bullets flying out, and my mother screaming, "Kids, come back in the house! Come back!" So those are the memories that I like. I never want to go back.
Right.
I
Wow.
really never want to go
Okay. Great responses. We'll go to some more pictures.
Yeah. Oh wow, that was I was in school in Brazil. If you can, I'm not smiling because in Brazil nobody smiled for the pictures. You had, you're not supposed to have any emotions on your face. I found out about emotions when I came here.
Can
In
you?
Brazil, like pictures were not, you're not supposed to show your teeth or anything like that.
And what's that about?
I don't know. I think the camera wasn't good enough for catch everything.
Sure.
I mean, it's a long time ago, so I think.
Yeah.
I don't
No.
know.
I was thinking about it. Okay. Let's go to smiles.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's lots of smiles, but I was here. I'm no longer in Brazil. We don't wear sweaters in Brazil. It's very hot there, so there are no sweaters. So I am the one to the left with the black shirt. To my right, hold on, is that to my left?
Well, all right.
Yes, all right. Is the person is a family friend next to me that I'm hugging. Next to her is my brother. He has 7 kids now.
Wow.
That little kid has 7 kids. He can have his own soccer plane. That's my sister next to him, my mother, and my father is in the picture in the back somewhere, but I don't think he's there. He is in the picture, but we can't see him. And that was a church we used to go to. My parents used to go Baptist, if I'm not mistaken. And since we didn't know anybody here, we just latched on to them. Yeah.
And what section of Jersey City did you grow up in?
I grew up. Used to be called the Greenville area. Now they changed it to, I think, West Bergen or South Bergen. I'm not quite sure what they changed to, but yeah, my parents, when we came here, and there's a story coming with that. My mom came first as a cleaning lady for a Hasidic Jewish family, and the family at the time had 12 children, and she was a nanny for all the 12 children, and she also cleaned the house.
Yikes.
A lot of work. She worked for the family for 3 years, but the first year she sent money to bring myself, my sister, my brother, and my father. So that is a picture actually a few days later after we arrived in New York. So the family, when we arrived, my mother needed to place us in school, right? So the family, the Jewish family, they helped us, putting us in school, getting the vaccinations ready, and things like that. We had no clothes to go to school with, so they gave us. They clothed us with the garments of the Jewish, of the children, which was long shirts, very long sleeve shirts, very long skirts, and the bonnets. So we looked like little Brazilian black Jewish people. So we went to school the first time. Um, uh, Mr. Morsch, which was the name of the father, he took us to school in his Buick. We thought we were really stylish because we didn't know any better. But what I remember from that, and what I remember most from that was arriving at school. The principal of the school was outside waiting for us, and when she saw the Jewish man with big hat, curls besides his head, and three black Jewish kids in the back. I mean, her eyes just grew, and she had this horrifying look, like somebody kidnapped those kids. Kidnapped those kids. I mean, it was awesome. But that was the first reaction, the first look we saw when we came to this country and went to school. That face will be ingrained in our minds forever. It was a horrific, horrific look.
You're reliving the moment right
Absolutely, I'm crying just remembering. She's like, I mean, if I could do a face, it would be priceless.
now.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good. So, what was it like? You're how old? 14?
I was 14.
Which is like adolescent.
Yes.
That
Yes.
you're dealing with a lot as a
Absolutely.
kid. Did you know English?
Um, that's funny because in Brazil, while going to school now in Brazil, my mother, they called a free bag in Brazil as a scholarship. They call it here, but in Brazil it's a scholarship, but they call it a free bag or free entry. So I got myself and my brother, we got a free entry to a private school, and in this private school they taught English. But the English that we learned was apple, table, chair, boy, girl, nothing conversational. So everything that we learned was here. So it was a little hard, but we did have a neighbor, an Italian neighbor that we played with, and who was very instrumental in correcting us. I used to say thank you instead of thank you, and she said no, 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 no. It's so in college, when I went to college, I also got a speech class. And a speech class was great because it helped me. I guess with every language, you have to open, your muscles are accustomed to that language, right? So you have to open your mouth. So in school, in college, when I took the speech class, they say, no, you have to really open your mouth and make horrible faces like, wow,
Right.
so
Enunciate.
to
Right.
pronunciate the word properly. And I did. And here I am,
Sure. Your
you know.
English is perfect. So I don't even know. Can someone from Spain converse with someone from Brazil easily? Are there different dialects or?
The Spanish from Spain has a lot of, well, first of all, the Spanish from Spain has a lisp. I'm not sure if you ever noticed. And I don't know if it's true or not, I heard of the king of Spain that didn't have his two front teeth. I don't know.
So therefore,
They
there's a
followed
lisp. The king who
Right.
had a lisp.
Exactly.
I don't know.
So
I'm not sure if that's
I'm not sure. I never.
We'll hear about
Yeah.
that.
So they have a lisp, and their Spanish has a lot of European increments. Like it's kind of like English from England and English from America. There are a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences too. It took me a long time to understand Josh's family.
Who are English?
Who are English.
Right.
They are from England. Both of them, though the father is Indian and the mother is
Sure.
Because one day she asked me, "Can you, Cassia? Do you know where Josh's jumper is?" I'm like, and I was thinking, jumper. I didn't put in jumper. What jumper? The green jumper. What is a jumper? So I didn't know it was a sweater. I thought it was a jumper.
Sure.
So a lot of things that I didn't know. And then crisps is chips, and chip this potato chip. It's fried French fries. And there's little things that I just had to get used
Sure.
to. So I think Spanish from Spain and Spanish from Puerto Rico, are totally different. If they speak slow, I'll probably understand it, but it's very hard.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we'll go back to some more pictures here.
Absolutely.
That will show you in action.
Yay! That's one of my favorite pictures. That's me hugging the original, the only
Penny Match.
Penny Mac,
Yeah.
the one who started it all
That's right.
with the story times. And I came to a few of her story times. Now, it's very special because it's kind of like black and white. I mean, not in the sense of me being black or being white, but it's in the sense of she was a more quiet, serene reader. She had puppets, and she didn't like a lot of loud noise, and she liked the older crowd. Me, I'm loud. I sing loud. I speak loud. It's just my Brazilianness come out when I get excited. But it's like we are total opposites. But I am so very, so very grateful that she started this, and I am part of what she started.
You both, amazing people. Penny lives across the street from the museum. And I can't remember how Storytime started, but I think she came in. She's a retired librarian. Right. She brought books, and she would create like a program based on weather, and it was curated, and it just kind of picked up.
Yeah.
And at that time, no one was doing Storytime.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then at a certain point, Penny, I think, moved into doing Storytime and classes for older kids at different places in town, the synagogue school and the library. And we were attracting more and more young kids. Right. And she kind of said, hey, I'm more comfortable with the older set. Right. And that's kind of how we connected.
Yeah.
And but we do name it Penny's Storytime when we were publicizing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a lot of people would probably think that you were Penny.
Yes.
Because we
I
didn't
have that question.
Right.
Before.
We didn't have a picture of Penny, so they couldn't connect it that way. And that's happened to anyone who's done Storytime.
Absolutely.
They go, you must be Penny.
No. I'm
so
not
I love the eyes. It's all about the eyes.
Oh, thank you.
Wow.
That's
tell us about this event.
That's so amazing. I love that day. This was a Nanny Appreciation Day. With the help of Mr. Rob, of course, we had about 75, maybe. Yeah,
this is just one side of the walkway.
This is just one side. It was just an appreciation for the nannies, for the people who have toiled and worked with families here who have been here for, like I said, 30, 40 years. We wanted to really celebrate them. And as you can see, they feel like they were celebrated. They feel like they count for something, because I think it's important to tell the people that are coming in and coming in every day, waking up all types of hours in the morning, come to work to care for somebody else's child, to know that they are appreciated, that they are needed, that they make that they have a function in how the household works or functions. So I am so happy. So many people came. 75 came. This is just like a little bit of what was happening then. We had so many people that were all smiles. We had vendors, right, that came to. It was an amazing time.
It was. I mean, we planned it out. We looked it up
absolutely.
And we found that, whatever it was.
I was so surprised when all these people came. Actually, a friend of mine from the church that I go to, she came and she couldn't believe the amount of people that were there. She couldn't believe. And
Right.
some of these nannies are still here.
I would
Working.
say almost a lot of them.
Yeah,
are
a
still
lot
here.
of them are still here.
Um,
I can see some of them, have moved on, but yeah, a lot of
Right.
them are still
And
here.
some of them may be caring for new children.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
What's that like when you've cared for a child for 2 or 3 years?
Yes.
Which is that the common time period?
Oh, it can be more than that. I care for my first the first child I care for was 10 years.
Wow. Really?
The second was, I think the second was 8 years. Then, it depends. I mean, it could be for a long time, but it's very difficult because you do get attached to the family, to the children. But you have to know that when it's time for you, when it's your time to go, you have to really make sure that you are not on making decision on an emotional side, but you making a decision on right now is I need this, I need to move on. Right. And you just have to leave your emotions aside. Sure. Yeah.
Recently there was a gathering in the park across the street. Right. And the nannies invited me. They had brought native food. This group was primarily, the nannies were Filipino. Yes. And they just love their food. Yes, and bring a lot of it.
Yes,
and
they do.
The occasion was that one of the nanny's children, I'll say, was leaving. They were moving. Yes. And everyone was very emotional, not just the nanny, but the other nannies. Yes. Because they all play together. Yes. Many times right outside in the walkway. Absolutely. And I was crying. I don't know. It was like seeing all these people crying made me cry. Yeah. Yeah. And it was pretty intense.
It does get intense. You are in these children's lives. Right. So it's hard to let them go, and it's hard to see them go. Right. It's hard on both ends. So,
and in this case, the child didn't really understand what was happening. Right. So all these adults are crying, right. And the kid is, talking to the other little kids, like, I'll see you tomorrow, but didn't really understand what moving was.
And it's very important for us not to explain to them what's going to happen. I mean, some parents say, don't say anything. Even when the nanny leaves or moves on, it's very hard for the parent to tell the child, well, so-and-so is leaving you, right. Is leaving us. They are moving. They don't understand the concept that they are going to do other things, you know. So it's best that the child doesn't even, just let it be.
Sure. Yeah. You would need support to do it, but have you ever thought about writing a book about nanny?
Oh, I love it. I thought so many times, and I did put together a little, like I did 10 pages of just rough, drafts. And I don't know what was happening in my life then, but I let it go. And now I can't find it where it is, and I feel like I have to do it all over again. Right. And, but that is what I wanted to do for the longest time, because I think that, there isn't anything for nannies. There are no books for nannies. There are no how to be nannies or how to act like a nanny. There is nothing like that. There is books for many other things, but for nannies, there are none. At first, I wanted to do a biography of my life as a nanny, but I have had so many funny times that I was cracking up out of my, nanny jobs. I mean, I had a child who was 11 at the time. His mother was, boho chic, I guess. She's like nipping tucks and little.
Took good care of herself.
Absolutely, but always had her eyes. Her eyes was always black, so there was always sunglasses, big hat. Because after you do all of that, you have to protect your skin. So that's how he grew up. He grew up seeing his mother like that. So one day I picked him up from school and we were just cuddling. He was a big cuddler and I'm a big cuddler. Brazilians are big cuddling people. And we were cuddling and he comes and he holds my face and he stretches it like this. And he goes, Cassia, what do you think of Botox? I'm like, no, thank you. No thanks. I mean, what does you know? What an 11-year-old boy know about Botox? But then again, his mother is always getting Botox. So I mean, I was like, what does he know about Botox?
It's sort of that kids say the darndest thing.
Oh, kids say the darndest thing. Then another one.
We'll go back to some of the pictures
because
we're actually getting to the end of our time.
No,
did this go fast?
This went really fast. Oh no! So this was part of that the Nanny Appreciation Day, right? And
sure. I mean, the faces are beautiful. I mean,
yeah,
I'm inspired by the nannies. Yeah, they're just so joyful. Yeah. And this event really brought out the camaraderie.
Believe it or not, we love the children we care for. We really do. We really enjoy doing what we do.
Right. And the nannies are really good to each other, I think.
Well, we don't really have a community, really. We don't have a Facebook. We don't have anything for nannies. So the next, option is us nannies sticking to each other and helping each other out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I forget this woman's name, but I remember she came to the event.
Yes, and she is actually she was putting together an account for nannies, like a Facebook account, where she would put news about what's happening with nannies these days, or who did what and what and what happened. She wanted to do that, but she realized that is a lot of work. And she's a nanny herself, so it's a lot of work. Right. She actually worked the whole pandemic from home. That was a funny thing because how do you nanny from home? Do you
Zoom nannies? It's a good gig, right?
No, she actually picked the kids up at 6:30 a.m. Picked the kids up from their house, brought them to her house where her daughter was because she didn't have a nanny for herself. And she cared for everyone. 6:30 p.m. she will bring them back, bathed and fed, and the parents will take it from there. That's how she did it. I thought it was amazing.
Right.
That's me. That's Olivia holding an Olivia book. Now, I didn't tell her anything. I didn't tell her that was Olivia. But she probably reads that Olivia book.
She would know her name.
She would know her name. So,
Sure.
She was my helper for that day. She was so cute.
And so, for a long time, we weren't doing story time because of indoor issues with ventilation and so on. And we weren't into a Zoom story time. We just weren't going to go there. Yeah. But then as the weather got nicer, we moved outdoors.
Yes.
And you found us again.
Yes. Actually, you found me.
Did we? Okay. I tracked you down.
You tracked me down.
I knocked on your door.
Yes, called the
FBI. And you've been doing a story time on the Fridays at 10:30. And the backdrop that's behind us now on the green screen is kind of a return to the old days.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we just put a rug out in the walkway, and we're not at the same numbers that we used to be, which is fine with us. Right. But we're adapting.
Last week we did have a lot of kids.
We did. Okay. And let's see.
I'm sorry.
That's the shot. So we do. I said we. You do kind of a combo music and stories.
Yes.
And ironically, you don't really want background music.
I love to sing. I sing everywhere. I hum. All of my kids I cared for, I sing with them. So it's kind of like I sing for church. Sometimes on Sundays I sing. I just love singing, and I feel like music really does bring people together. It inspires people. It makes the children dance and be merry. So I like singing because sometimes the background music, they have a lot, their own tune, a new tune or something, which doesn't go with the tune that I'm singing, so I get all discombobulated.
Right.
Yeah.
And but usually most people who do story time when
Yeah.
there's music, they're very happy to have the background music.
Yeah.
Because you can rack up the volume.
Yeah.
You can drown out the leaf
I have
blowers.
a very loud voice.
But
so,
you prefer the to go solo, and I'm always impressed by that. And,
I'm out of breath by the end of the time.
well, I often think story time is also for the adults too.
Yes,
they're very joyful about it.
Yes,
they love.
I think story time brings everybody together. Nannies, babysitters, because the nannies have to sort of like help the kids. Nannies and parents, they have to sort of like encourage the kids to be part of it, right? And and so that helps the parents and nannies to also be involved in it. I love when the nannies are dancing and singing.
Yeah, they have a great time.
Yeah.
And we're getting more parents now because more are at home.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, that's my little one. Oh my gosh. That was about 2 years ago.
That's about right.
Yeah, just 2 years ago. And I mean, I love doing what I do. I've been a nanny for about, like I said, 25 years now, going on 26. And I feel like the kids make me happy. I learn a lot from them. They teach about patience. They teach me about, about really, you were a child before, so about being able to understand them, talking to them, listening to them. They are great teachers.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone
teachers.
Say that. People say
yeah.
they like to be around kids because it makes them feel young. But to think of the kid as a teacher is pretty cool.
Yeah. Because, in order for you to learn, I always feel, and I don't know if being a teacher from before, right? As you teach, you learn as well.
That's true.
So as I'm teaching my children, they are asking me questions that I may not be thinking about. So I am learning as well. I don't think I wouldn't have been able to be a nanny for as long as I have been if it wasn't for them teaching me how to be, with them, or how to be, how to talk to them. So it's a juggling job because you have to learn how to understand their gibberish, almost, and understand and talk to the parents seriously. Sure. So it can be like a juggling.
I think 99% of the nannies I see are pretty engaged with the kids. If you do see someone who's not engaged, it really stands out.
Yes, it does.
They're on the cell phone. They're like someplace else.
Yes.
And you see the difference.
You see the difference. You really do.
It's interesting.
So who are the ones that are happy with what they do, with the child that they are helping with, and the ones that are like, it's just a job. Right.
And that seems to be a goal. If you're going to work, you better enjoy what you're doing.
Absolutely.
If it's just for the money, the pay, that's not a great combination.
Yeah. And you won't stay for long.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Wow. This has been a great talk with Cassia. And we've gone an hour, and we could go another hour.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I have so much to say.
Definitely.
I didn't tell you about the Martin Luther King.
We can do that later.
Yes.
Anyway, so I want to thank Rand Hoppe for engineering this event.
Thank you.
And we do want to thank our sponsors. This has been Hoboken Talks. Donald Chackett was a longtime supporter of the museum, and with his estate planning included us, and we're forever thankful for Donald.
Thank you.
And then the New Jersey Historical Commission has just given us a grant recently to improve our technology, and we are rising to that occasion. Hoboken Talks has become one of the core programs for the museum, and it keeps me out of trouble. So I do thank the commission for that. And then, of course, we always think applied companies, the Barry family, principally Joe and Michael, who have gave us this incredible space where we can do so many different things. And I thank them every day for giving me direction. And Hoboken Talks is rocking, and we've had great guests, and gives me enthusiasm to come to the table and interview some of my favorite people. And we do hope you come visit and check out our new exhibit. It's called The Avenue, A History of Washington Street. It's just gone up recently, and it's been very well received. We are getting back to wearing masks indoors because of the Delta variants. Hopefully we'll get out of that soon. But if you do come to the museum, we ask you to wear a mask. And with your $5 admission, we'll give you a mask. So there's no excuses. Yeah. And then, of course, the upper gallery where we're broadcasting from, we have a beautiful new painting exhibit by Donna O'Grady. A lot of them are night scenes of Hoboken or general scenes of Hoboken. And that's also another reason to come visit the museum. Yes. So get out of the house, come to the museum. Yeah. And of course, we're making great use of our walkway. And here's Rand and Lisa playing ping pong. I challenge anyone to a game of ping pong. Awesome. I tell people I majored in college in ping pong, and I don't get to play that much. Who won? What's that?
Who won?
I don't know. I'm not sure. 1 point at a time. Yeah. Okay, signing out here at Hoboken Talks. Again, many thanks to Rand Hoppe for keeping us on track and on schedule.